I recently realized that when I'm talking with someone, I usually don't say my honest opinions necessarily, and I prioritize saying something that seems normal to me or that seems like an answer that the other person wants. What other person wants me to say, I try to say. And if that, like, a lot of the times, my honest opinion and what other people expect me to say is actually pretty different. So, for instance, I was asked by this Chinese girl that is in my college about like how Japanese schools teach Chinese history or like a history of Japan um, invading China. And I said something along the lines of, I was only in Japan from seventh grade till until after that, so I don't know like before that, but from what I've learned, I learned that Japan like invaded China, but we didn't really learn about like Nanjing massacre and the details of the atrocities that we committed in China. And that's not necessarily like false, I guess, but my honest truth is that I read a lot of like history and political shit online. So I've read about a lot of the stuff that about like Japan's war crimes in China and so on online. So I just like I don't really remember learning what I learned in like school, honestly. Like what I mean by that is like because like the vast majority of the history information I know right now, I feel like it came from like my own research rather than my being in school or learning in school. So I just like things get mixed up. Maybe I learned something in school, but I don't really remember. Like, when I was in Japan, like my like mental state wasn't really good and I wasn't always like focused on class either. There were times I did really poorly in tests or in history class too, even though I generally like to read about history. Um, but I guess at that time when she asked me, I just gave a, unnuanced answer that I felt like she wanted out of me. But that's not really the most honest answer, although it's not false, because I don't really remember like learning about any history of Japan going to China or whatever in schools in Japan. Um, so yeah, like I wish I could be more honest, and that's like the point of this video. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what other people think about me. If they think of you negatively because you were honest, so be it. And deep down, I know what that's how I should be thinking, but my brain is wired in a way that like I've like I was always taught, or not always, but I was often taught that like I shouldn't be honest about myself. Um, this can be explained by like you know I mean like bullying and unfairly strict teachers, and I can blame other people for who I how I am, but at the end of the day, I'm the one making the decision to not be honest and just not lie necessarily, not lie always, but often just prioritize being a people pleaser rather than an honest person, and that's bad.